Okay guys, so last time we worked on the house, we got to about this point. So we had our ground floor structure, wood structure assembled, and a few bricks, and we just started the stud wall of the ground floor. So I'm just going to go to our example here. Oops, a little bit too far in. We have most of this done, and so I'd like to get the structure in this video. I'd like to get the structure pulled all the way up to the roof. So we're going to go to the second floor, then we're going to go to the roof, and we're going to do a little bit different version of the roof, but we're going to get the roof structure done as well. So let's go back to here. Right now we have the top of the subfloor. So this is the top of the plywood layer on top of our joists. So we have this line, it's very small to see, but we have this, the top line, no, sorry, the top line of this plywood here, that with one of the diagonal hatch. And so we would like to know the distance from this subfloor to that ceiling. Now here it's giving it to us as 890, but that's not accurate. So let's go back to the Blackboard website and let's see assignment 2, where do we have that? There we go. This may have a better measurement for us. I'm going to download it. Rotate. So this is the distance we're looking for. We're here. We can see from the top of the subfloor to the bottom of the drywall on the floor above is 2440. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to offset 2440. Enter. Offset this line up. Okay, so that's the bottom of my drywall at the ceiling. Now, if I zoom into the drywall, that's the bottom of it. Now I know it's 16 wide, so I could offset my line 16 higher, and in doing so, it would put me in line with the top of the two top plates of that stud wall, which is what I would like to find. So I'm going to go back to here, offset 16 to there. And so now if I fill it this top line to this wall, it'll give me that corner. So I'm going to click here on fillet. Now the first time, I'm only going to do it the first time I use it, just to make sure the radius is set to 0. I'm going to click radius, 0, enter. Click that top line, click this stud, and there we go. Now I'm going to hit enter again, and click the top line and hit the inside of the stud as well. Now both lines of my wall, I'm going to delete this line. That's the height of my wall. Now up here, this can be a bit shorter. It's the drywall. Let's not forget. So that's this piece of drywall. And now I need these two blocks. So to get those, I can just go down here, copy this guy, pick the base point as, I'm going to pick this as a base point, and go here and here. And so now I have the top of my ground floor wall. So if you look at it, we've gone from here all the way up to here. Now, next thing we can do, and so the strategy I'm going to use here is I'm going to do the structure first. I'm going to do all the wood structure first. And if I get that correctly done, then the rest of it I'm just offsetting out for insulation and other bricks and other stuff, which is easier. So now I want to offset from this line up 235 millimeters. So let's go back to here, offset 235, up. Okay, so that's our joist. We don't know how far it goes yet. So let's take a look. So here it's telling us from the edge of this stud this top plate, it's a 125 millimeters to get to the edge of the next wall. So that's where our joist and rim joist ends. So 125. So let's go back to here. Offset 125. And I'm going to pull the temporarily offset this guy out. So now I know, I'm going to fillet this just to make it clear. Now I know that at this point is where I want to have my rim joist. This block right here. So let's go back here. Let's copy this one is 235. Let me just check it. I'm typing in DI, enter for distance, and it's 235. So copy. I'm going to pick the top left. Put that in there. Extend this guy all the way to there. And now I have my joist. Now here I need to offset how much? Not really telling me the depth of that plywood, but I would say, oh, the other sample I think does. Yeah, 15 millimeter tongue and groove plywood. So now I need to offset for my plywood subfloor, 15 millimeters. There we go. Oops. And I'm ready to start my next wall. You can see here we have another block, right? So we just offset for that subfloor. So I have another block, and now I'm just going to do a little bit of math here. This is my plywood subfloor, which is where I am right now. I'm on top of that. This line here is my plywood subfloor. And it's again 2440 to, oops, these rounds are backwards, 2440 to the top of this drywall. And then 16 millimeters up from there to get these things again. Now, I don't know if you remember, but that's the exact same distances we plugged in to get from the ground floor to here. So in other words, what I can do is I can literally, I guess I'll extend this first, make my life a bit easier. I'm going to type in extend this line. Oops, that didn't work. Get out of here. Okay, one more time. Okay, extend. And now I'm going to say copy. I'm going to grab this block, this line, all of this, and the top of that drywall too, why not? And I'm going to say copy it from this base point all the way up to here. And now if I'm correct, this from this bottom, the top of this subfloor to the bottom of this drywall should be 2440. So let's go DI for distance. One more try, DI for distance. There to there, 2440. Okay, so now we're all the way up before the roof. So we've drawn this, we're basically up here. So now we need to get this slope of the roof in. Actually, first what I could do is I can offset 38 by 140. So I know this is going to be 140 deep. So I'm going to go in here, offset 140. Okay. And now this diagonal part, what I want to do first is figure out, I can figure out the slope. So here it's telling me the slope. 4 and 12 or 1 and 3. Doesn't matter, you can, same ratio. So I'm going to draw, it's going to be really small, but I'm just going to draw it right now. So click here, go up 4 and over 12 and hit escape. And you can see how tiny that is. But this is the line we're interested in, right there. Okay, so once I have that, I'm going to say extend just going to extend it to anything. Let's extend it to here. There we go. And now I can delete those extra little 2 lines I had there, and I know that's the slope of my roof. Okay, now it's not super clear here, but we can be kind of sure that as this joist, this is a piece of wood up here, as this wood comes down, it can't just go through these studs. It has to be notched right here. So you have to kind of take a bite out of it to allow it to sit on those plates. And I believe that in order to take the minimum amount of wood out, the corner of this would probably line up with the edge of this. So in other words, this would look like that. Okay, so now I'm just going to extend that line out a little bit more. I'm arbitrarily going to draw a line here. Extend that to there. I know this piece of wood, this diagonal piece of wood, is 140 because it says here asphalt shingles on 10 plywood sheathing on 38 by 140 rafters. So there's my rafter. Offset 140. Okay. Extend up to here for now, why not? I'm going to delete this now. And now this goes further down out to here because we have to create this eave. So we know that from this stud to the end of the rafter is 460. So let's go back, offset 460. From this stud out to there is 460, so extend. There we go. Now I have to notch this rafter, so I need to cut some parts of it out. So I'm going to type in trim. I'll select this rectangle and cut that part out. Trim, select this rectangle, cut that part out. And this can get stuck to there. So this is now good. This guy, this piece of wood that goes across here, we can have 2 overlapping pieces of wood, so we have to pick one. So it looks like this horizontal piece tacks onto the back, or no, it kind of goes in and goes to the very end. So I'm gonna decide to go like this. I'm typing in trim. My trim, I have a slightly older version of CAD on my personal laptop, so my trim is a little bit different than yours. So if you're clicking stuff and it's looking a little bit different, don't feel like you're doing the wrong thing. You're just working on a newer version of CAD most likely. So just to keep things consistent up here, I'm going to extend these guys as well. So we've got this, we've got our eaves here. I'm going to trim. Okay. And so now what are we looking at over here? So on the inside we have a 38 by 140 header that lines up with the end of that, and then we have a 19 by 184 fascia board. So I'm going to draw that here. I'm going to click a rectangle right here at 38 by negative 140. Okay, that's my 2 by 6. And most likely, I think this is what's going to happen here. This rafter is going to get cut a little bit short. I'm going to click my fillet button. Since I want to fillet stuff more than once, I'm going to click multiple. Grab this, fillet, and fillet. And I'm going to kill this one here. Because this is going to attach to the end of these rafters. And from here I have a 19, so at negative 19 by negative 184 fascia board, I believe. Yes. So we have that. Now to go into here, we have a 38, well I'm going to say it's 38 by 89 wood nailer, they're calling it. Actually, we'll wait on that. We'll extend the insulation up first. So let's do the plywood layer. They're saying it's 10 millimeters. I'm going to make it 12 because I think it's probably going to be half-inch plywood, so I'm offsetting by 12. I'm going to close that. We'll do the plywood layer, the shingles later. It's sort of a detail that we don't have to worry about right now. And that finishes up the structure for us. So now what we need to do is basically we need to continue the brick and the insulation all the way up until we get to this jog in the wall. So we're going to kind of create our own detail up here. So let's do the way I'd suggest doing this is we do the, oops, I zoomed in way too much there. Sorry guys. Where are we here? There. So we have the wood structure as I talked about before, and that's supposed to make our job easier. So we know the wood is correct, and we know this is 25 millimeters of insulation. So I'm simply going to start offsetting out from the wood by 25 to get it. Now I don't need to do that here. Well, what's going on here? Oh, there's a plywood layer there. That would make sense. So I'm going to do the plywood layer first. So offset 12. No, we already have this guy actually. So I'm not going to do that offset. But I am going to come up here, offset 12. Out from here. Out from here. And that's all I need. Now, I need to connect those lines, so I'm going to use fillet right there. Click multiple. And this line is going to connect to this line. And this line is going to connect to this line. And as you can see, now I have my plywood layer. Now I'm going to hit offset again, 25 millimeters for insulation. And oops, I didn't need to do that one. I already have that insulation line there. So 25 out here and 25 out here. Now again, fillet, multiple, there, and there. Now for hatching purposes, just so it works out better, and I'll demonstrate that right now, I'm just going to make these line segments closed. Okay? So to hatch this first line segment, I don't even have to hatch. I'm just going to go down here, click the hatch I already have. And as you can see, it gives me a little grip. I'm going to click that grip, pull it up. Now here, I'm going to hatch again. Doesn't matter what hatch, I don't even care. Oh, what? Okay, so sometimes in Revit, if it can't see most or all of the thing you're hatching, it's going to freak out. So let's close this line up here like that, and I'm going to trim this part of this line. So I want to hatch that very thin line segment here like that, and I don't even care what hatch type it is, because I'm going to go to properties and pick the one, oops, not that, I'm not going to do that. Where's my paintbrush? Properties, match properties. So pick the one that I like and match it to this one. Then I'm going to hatch again, click this, enter, one more time, click here and click here. Now I have a problem because this one is going horizontal and it looks off. So I'm going to click this, and let's set the angle to 0 and see what happens. Not quite, we need to rotate it 45 degrees. There we go. Okay, insulation is done. Now we need a 25 millimeter airspace. So let's get on that. Once again, we've done this twice, now let's do it a third time. Offset 25. I'm going to offset this one out, out, out. Get my fillet line ready. Multiple. There, there, and that goes all the way up. Good. And now I can simply pull my bricks all the way up to the top And once I get to the top here, so basically I'm pulling up these bricks all the way to the top, and once I get to the top I'm going to switch to some kind of a cladding. Now here we can maybe take a note from the student example. We pull our bricks all the way up to the insulation, and then we do this board and batten siding. So let's do that. I'm simply going to take my bricks, copy one whole brick including the mortar joints, pick that as a base point, and just one by one I'm going to start going up. Take your time, make sure you click on the right part of the brick to set the next brick up every time. Okay, it's worth doing this slowly and knowing you don't have to go back. Keep going, almost there. I think we're one more segment away. Here we go. Oh, no, a little bit more. 2. Okay. I can fit one more in there. Now here, I don't think I'm going to have an airspace. Am I? No, the airspace. Oh no, I still have an airspace, yes. So, but here I don't necessarily need an airspace. And I guess at this point I can delete this line as well, because the brick's already offset away from it. So I'm not going to worry about what happens here just yet, but I am going to start to guess what this board and batten looks like. It doesn't really give me a size, so I'm going to, it does say 13 millimeters though. 13 millimeter wood, they mean to say siding, not sliding. So I'm going to say this board and batten is, I'm going to make up a number, like a rectangle, at 13 by 150. That's how big I'm going to make it. Apparently not. Let's try that again. At 13 by 150, I'm going to draw a diagonal line through it and trim the rest of it off. This part and this part. Okay, move this whole thing to here, and then I'm going to just copy, just like with the bricks, all the way up. Okay, a little bit more. Now for this, I'm going to take it, how far up do we go in here? They go up to this wood nailer, which connects to their plywood. This detail is a little bit messed up, but we can probably trust that part, I think. So we're going to end it actually on this one, and we'll deal with that part in a second. Let's go back down to here. So here, I'm hesitant to move this piece further down to cover this gap. I want to cover this gap. I don't want water and bugs and other stuff getting in here. But I don't want to move this piece further down, because keep in mind, it has to get nailed to something. So it needs a nail at the top, a nail at the bottom. And if you have too much overhang after that, it's going to get flimsy and break. So what we could specify, there's a number of things we could do here. I'm just going to improvise one here right now and say, how about we take a brick and then we just specify that this brick, you can do this in real life, is going to be cut. Or it's going to be a half brick. Sometimes we just give you a half brick. And I'm going to say trim. Trim along these lines. Oops. Enter and cut this. One more trim to cut these parts. And match properties. this line to these lines. There we go. Okay, so we have our brick, we have that. Now we need to deal with this. So we know that there's a 2x4 coming all the way to here. 2x4s are 89 millimeters tall, so we're going to offset this by 89, like so. And we are going to trim between here and here. We're going to trim this insulation out, and we're going to lower this to here. Wood nailer at negative 38 by 89, and make that a block. Okay. Now here we can trim. Maybe not. Maybe we'll trim this line. There. Ah, darn it. There we go. Okay. So we've got this, and now we just need to do this soffit, which is a thin piece of material here. I'm going to just make it 10 millimeters right now. It's like a vented piece of aluminum that comes in. It gets basically attached to the bottom side, the underside of that eave, to prevent, you know, raccoons and birds and stuff like that from making nests in your roof. That's kind of all we need to do right now. We've got our structure, we've got our roof in place, we've got our siding in place, our walls are coming along nicely. I could do one more thing down here and offset this by, let's say, 10 millimeters to give it a floor, like some hardwood flooring or something. Shrink that down. And then give it a baseboard here at 10 millimeters by 100 millimeters. I can copy this, pick that as a base point, and add it to here. I'm missing a bit of insulation right here, just like I have here, so I can literally just take this one, thank you, copy it, move it up, and plunk it right there. Now, since we're talking about insulation, this wall and this wall could both be insulated as well. In fact, they should be. Let's do it with spray foam. So I'm going to hit them both with a hatch. Again, I don't really care what that hatch is. So I'm just going to go to properties, match this hatch to that one. And that should take, because I did it once, it should hit both. I did it in the same command. So, not bad. We've got our roof in place. This is in place. This is in place. And I'm going to leave it there today. And we'll pick it up next time. So, thank you very much for your time.